Hello guys, Dr. Power here and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to talk about the structure of the human ear. But before we dive into this structure, let us go back to the examination guidelines. Your examiner expects you to know the structure of the human ear and the functions of the different parts using a diagram. Before we look at the detailed structure of the ear, let us look at a little overview of this structure. The human ear is responsible for two things. Number one is hearing. Number two is balance. As you can see, the structure of the human ear is complicated. Therefore, we're going to divide it into three sections so that it becomes easy for us to understand it. The first section is the outer ear. The second one is the middle ear. And the last one is the inner ear. Now, the outer ear would consist of this part that we find outside the body. And then it goes in and we find those parts. So this would be our outer ear. All right? Then the next section would start from here and then it goes down like this and comes back here, and that's our middle ear. Our middle ear. And lastly, our inner ear. Our inner ear consists of these structures and those two little things. Then it comes the side, and that's our inner ear. Right? It is important for us to note that our outer ear is filled with air, and the stimuli or the stimulus are the sound waves, and that the outer ear is involved in or plays a part in the hearing process. Right? With the middle ear, like the outer ear, it is filled with air. Right? The stimulus or the stimuli would be the vibrations that we find there, and it is also involved in the hearing process. Our inner ear has got structures like this one and this one, which are filled with fluid. Right? And because we are talking about fluid here, our stimuli or our stimulus will be the pressure waves. Pressure waves. And it is involved in two things. The first one is hearing, and the second one is balance. So that's our overview. Now let us look at the detailed structure of the human ear. We're going to look at the detailed structure of the human ear by looking at the three sections of the ear that we've identified in the overview. Right? So we're going to start by looking at the outer ear. So the outer ear, as we can see here, it is made up of Firstly, this structure, which is a flap that is made up of elastic cartilage, all right, that is covered by skin. Right, this is the part of the ear that most of the people refer to as the ear. You'll find out that some people don't even know that the ear is a massive organ that continues from that outer flap that we can touch, that we can play with. That part that was in trouble. When we were growing up, whenever we were naughty, it is that part that was pinched all the time. So this part, we refer to it as the pinna, right? So this is our pinna. Right? The pinna traps some sound waves, right, from the outside environment and channels them towards this part that we are going to be looking at next. Right, so as I'm speaking right now, the sound waves, right? Sound waves are generated from what I'm saying, and then they're actually channeled towards this part of the ear, right? So that you'll be able to hear me. So let's look at the next part where the sound waves are being transmitted to or directed into. Right, so this is a tube. All right, as you can see, it's a tube. Right, let's identify this tube before we can say anything. So this tube is the auditory canal. So it is the auditory canal. Right, inside this tube, we find some little hairs which have got a protective function, and we also find some glands which would produce that brown substance that we are tempted to remove all the time, using an earbud or trying to remove it using our fingers, which will not enter. Right, so that brown substance, we refer to it as earwax or cerumen. Right, it is produced inside this auditory canal. The cerumen also plays a very important part in protecting the ear. In fact, it actually prevents foreign substances from entering the ear, because remember, it is a sticky substance, so it traps things like dust so that they don't go anywhere further into the ear. All right, so that's our auditory canal. Besides producing cerumen and having those hairs, this canal also directs the sound waves. Remember, it's the outer ear, so we talk about the sound waves towards the next part that we are going to talk about, which is this one, which we call the tympanic membrane. So our auditory canal directs the sound waves towards towards the tympanic membrane, which is the next part that we are going to talk about. So this next part that I've just colored yellow is the tympanic membrane. The tympanic membrane. The tympanic membrane is colorless, and it actually vibrates when it is hit by these sound waves that I was talking about. These sound waves, when they get there, it starts to vibrate. Maybe we can say it starts moving, sideways like that, or it starts shaking, right? And as it shakes, it generates some vibrations, right? Generates some vibrations. So this is our outer ear, and just take note, these vibrations are then going to be transmitted into the middle ear, which is what we are going to discuss next. Right. So now let's talk about the middle ear. The middle ear. So the middle ear, as you can see, starts from that part, the one that we were saying it's a transparent membrane, which is known as the tympanic membrane, and then from there it is connected, as you can see, to three bones. We have this one, these two, and this one is the third one. So we have these three bones. These three bones together make up what we refer to as ossicles. So we're going to label this as ossicles. Ossicles are very small bones. They are little bones. In fact, they are actually the smallest bones in the human body or in the human skeleton, and they are found in the ear, right? So from the tympanic membrane, we have the largest of the three ossicles, which is, I'm going to color it blue, this one, just to give it, right, this one. So this is the largest of the three bones, or of the ossicles, right? So this bone is the largest, and it is connected to the second one, which is this one, and then the second one is connected to the third one, which is the smallest of the ossicles, the smallest of the three, right? So let's identify the first one, which is the larger bone. Maybe let's just also identify this part, even if we talked about it. Let's just identify it. Also, this is our tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane, the one that vibrates and generates vibrations. And these vibrations are then transmitted to the first bone, which is this one. I'm going to label it this way. I'm going to label it as the hammer, like the hammer that your dad would use for driving nails into wood. All right. Then next we have this one, the second bone, which is the second bone, which is the anvil, right? And then the last one would be this one, which is the stirrup. The stirrup. Right. So those are the three bones, the three little bones that are found in the ear, and they are the smallest bones of the skeletal system, or the smallest bones found in the human body, right? As you can see, we have this part. We also have this part that is connected to our smallest bone. But maybe before we talk about this part, let us look at the function of the ossicles. The ossicles amplify. The function of the ossicles, number one, is to amplify the vibrations that would have been produced by the tympanic, membrane. So it's the function of the ossicles would be to amplify. So they amplify the vibrations, right? And besides amplifying the vibrations, they also transmit those vibrations to the to the inner ear. You see here would find the inner ear. After this section would find the inner ear. So the vibrations, the amplified vibrations, are then transmitted into the inner ear through this little window, this little part that I've colored yellow here, right? And the this part, let's identify this part. Right, so we're going to identify this part that I've colored yellow here is the oval window. As you can see, its shape, it's actually oval in shape, and it's like a window, like the windows that we have in our homes, right? So that's our oval window, right? We also have another window or another structure here, which is round in structure, and this one is called the round window, right? So the round window now is responsible for absorbing excess pressure waves from the inner ear. Remember, the inner ear is associated with pressure waves, and sometimes the waves are too much, and the excess are then absorbed by the round ear to avoid things like echoes. All right, then we move on to this structure. We're just gonna color it in just to give it color. Let's use green. Okay, I wanted to use green, but anyway, let's use this one. Right, so we also have this structure. This structure, as you can see, is a tube, right? It is a tube that is connected to the ear, to the throat. It is connected to the throat. So in other ways, it actually drains some substances from the ear into the throat, and this part is called the eustachian tube. The eustachian tube. The eustachian tube equalizes. Its function is to make sure that the pressure that is found on either side of the tympanic membrane. You see, this is our tympanic membrane. We have this side and we have that other side. So its function is to make sure, the function of the eustachian tube is to make sure that the pressure this side of the tympanic membrane and this side of the tympanic membrane is equal. So it equalizes the pressure on either side of the tympanic membrane. By the way, the tympanic membrane is commonly known as the eardrum, but I encourage my learners to use the term tympanic membrane. So guys, the tympanic membrane you need to know that the tympanic membrane needs to vibrate freely. That is why pressure must be balanced on both sides, or must be equalized on both sides, so that it continuously vibrates freely without any hindrance there. Otherwise, the hearing process can be hindered or can be affected negatively. Okay, right. So now, having looked at the middle ear, let us move on to the inner ear. So now we are looking at the inner ear, which is the last section of the ear. Right, as you can see, the inner ear is actually starting from that structure that we have just labeled as the oval window. Because of its shape, it's called the oval window. And this one that we have actually referred to as the round window. Right, so we're not gonna go back to the functions of these two structures because we have talked about them already. But let us look at this structure, which consists of structures that are semicircular in shape, right? So this structure is called the semicircular canal. Okay, let's use black. Right, so this structure referred to as the semicircular canals. Right, the semicircular canals are filled with fluid. This is where we find the fluid that we're talking about in the overview, and they're actually involved in maintaining balance. All right, then we move on to this one, which is a funny structure for me. This one. All right, it is funny for me because it looks like a snail. All right, and that helps me to remember it. So this structure is known as the cochlea. All right, we're gonna call it, we're gonna refer to it as the cochlea. I'm just gonna label it this way. So the cochlea. Right, the cochlea, right, houses a very important receptor, which is known as the organ of Corti. The organ of Corti, right, converts. Remember, we said we have the stimulus the stimuli is the pressure waves. So it converts pressure waves into a nerve impulse, and the impulse is then sent to the brain. In particular, because we're talking about hearing here, it is sent to the cerebrum for interpretation. Now, having looked at that, let's see how the nerve impulse is transported to the brain. So the nerve impulse is actually transported to the brain through this nerve. All right, so this nerve is called the auditory nerve. Right, we call it the auditory nerve. Please don't confuse it with the auditory canal. They are two different things. And the auditory nerve will then transmit the impulse to the brain. And because we're talking about hearing, we said it goes to the cerebrum for interpretation. There you have it, the human ear, in terms of the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. If you found this video helpful, share it with your colleagues, give it a like, comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you all in the next video. Bye.